Before we get to Tim Fitzgerald, Craig, Oregon has continued their flip fest. They flipped another kid from Notre Dame today. So that's 2 from Notre Dame and 1 from Baylor as Oregon continues their all-out assault on organized religion on National Signing Day.
No kidding. Yeah.
But they're just, I mean, Dan Lanning, I don't know if he's ever going to have another day as good as this one that he's ever had. I mean, he's starting here pretty high to the top, but a team that really closed the year fantastically, Kansas State. We've had Tim Fitzgerald on before. They're the Big 12 champs. They're playing in the Cotton Bowl. Tim, Chris Kleiman was, I don't want to say slow is not the word, but like a gradual build was what he was doing. How much has the last 2 months helped him hit the accelerator a little bit on what he's doing in Manhattan?
You know, they just kind of know what kind of kids they want. You know, maybe they're getting them at a higher degree. I know Avery Johnson, the quarterback, is certainly the best quarterback Kansas State signed in a very long time. But they're bringing in such quality young men, both on and off the field, and they kind of know what they're looking at now, what they want to, what's effective for them in their systems. But yeah, they had some nice wins here down the stretch with Asa Newsome, really good athlete that's going to play linebacker. Trey Spivey, a receiver out of Arizona, that'll be really good for K-State. So they did finish pretty strong coming down the stretch and got some guys that can help.
Feeling any bump from that Big 12 title, and I'm sure things are nice and rosy with that shiny new trophy there in Manhattan, or do you expect that will probably pay off more in the following class?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it'll be next year. They'll probably be able to get some more kids onto campus than they, have in the past. That's the thing Chris Kleiman always says. If you get them to Manhattan, you get them in for a game, and they it's 50,000 seats. How good can it be? And then they see what the atmosphere is really like. It really does impress recruits, and the atmosphere at Kansas State impresses families. So they feel like if they got them on campus, they've got a really good shot at it.
You mentioned Avery Johnson. That's, you said, the highest rated recruit they've ever had there at quarterback. He's got a nice little runway with Will Howard next year, going to be the starter. What do they expect from him early on, though, given the depth behind Will Howard?
Yeah, there are some guys. I mean, Jake Rubley, who was a 4-star quarterback, too. For most of the year, he was a higher-rated quarterback recruit, but I think we all recognize that Avery's just kind of special, and being a Kansas kid also helps with that. They've got Adrian Lara, true freshman out of Arizona that they really like. And Will Howard technically has 2 years because of the COVID season. I don't know if he'll exercise both of those years or not, but he gives them a really good lead in to what could be a fun run with Avery or one of the other young quarterbacks. But Avery can sling it. He can run. He's got to get some body mass on him. He's awfully skinny. He's going to get pummeled at this level. I don't know if he can get Max Duggan tough, but he's got to get toughened up, a little seasoned for Big 12 football. But he'll get there. He comes at the start of the semester, so he'll be here for spring. And they do expect great things from him. But, bottom line with Avery, if you've ever seen an interview with him, he's just a great kid. They just absolutely love him. He's done a great job helping them recruit. Some of these guys at the end always cite Avery and the contact he had with them.
Tim, I know guys can move positions, but seems like safety was a big priority in this class.
Yeah, they brought in 3 transfer safeties in the last class. They just have to bolster that position with, more permanent guys because they pretty much play 3 safeties on the field at all times. Once in a while, they'll put a third linebacker out there in run situations, but they really like to have that, smaller, lighter defenses that are so effective that the Big 12 has kind of proven can really slow down offenses. Those days of those big, 3 linebackers are over. Even middle linebackers now are, maybe 230. So they just lean on those safeties an awful lot in their system, and they've done a really good job finding guys in the portal or JUCO or whatever it is. But they would like to just bring them up, through the system and develop those own players.
What do you expect them to see them do in the portal coming up, and what do they still have to do before the next signing day?
Well, they're up against their 85. In fact, I think there might be a couple over it. So they've only had 5 guys go into the portal, and none of those guys were really serious players for them. I think after the bowl game, we'll see some more guys go into the portal. It's just a reality. Everyone complains about the kids jumping into the portal. Well, the coaches don't mind the portal either for that reason. Sometimes you need to clear out some space for some guys. I think we'll see them try to get a running back out of the portal. They only signed one high school running back. Deuce Vaughn's still up in the air. He has not announced whether he's coming back or he's going to go, a year early to the draft. I think suspicion is he'll go, but there's also been a lot of talk about him staying. So I think they probably want to get one more seasoned guy out of the portal at running back, maybe a receiver, interior lineman, defensive lineman probably are the spots where they're most eager to find some guys.
The portal's a funny thing, Tim, because I found today just in a conversation, was talking about Baylor losing their big quarterback commit to Oregon, which a lot of people are losing commits today to Oregon. But while saying, like, what a bummer that is, meanwhile saying 2 seconds later, but they still need 6 guys to enter the portal to get down to the 85. Like, it's just, we're so quick to kind of, talk about the guys that leave and then turn right around and like, hey, we need some guys to shed the roster spots to get some more guys, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it really is. And the COVID year adds to all of this tension. I think there's a couple guys, 2 or 3 guys that want to come back for sure for their 6th season. And at some point, a coach has to make a hard decision. We've had a great career, but it's time to move on because we don't have room. So bumping up against that 85 is a real challenge right now for a lot of coaches.
Tim, the Cotton Bowl is actually setting up, given that most of the roster are going to be available for both teams of healthy players, to be one of the better bowl games. Are you kind of fired up that Alabama in particular, with, potentially the top 2 picks in the draft, decided not to opt out?
I've been around Bill Snyder so long that, and I know they've been to a press conference and said they're playing. I will believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This would be so Bill Snyder of Nick Saban to roll those guys out for a press conference and, oh, by the way, they don't play. But I hope they do. I would love to see them at full strength. I think it makes me a little bit more leery about the bets that I placed, expecting those guys to be gone. But I still am optimistic that K-State's playing some pretty good football. And I go back and look at that game against Alabama and Texas. I know it was eons ago. You can't really compare scores, but the fact that Texas played nose up with them, I think shows that there isn't that huge perceived gap around the nation between, every SEC program and everyone else. K-State's won 3 in a row now against the SEC going into this bowl game. So this is another huge opportunity, just an enormous opportunity, because this is the biggest brand in all of college football.
How much, looking back on it, did Will Howard change this season?
Amazing. It's absolutely incredible. They went and got Adrian Martinez because they just weren't sure Will Howard was ready. And there was some, the teammates believed in him, but he hadn't really shown it on the field. He'd shown it in practice, but hadn't put it out on the field. And then he gets pushed into duty at the TCU game down in Fort Worth and just throws it all over the field in the first half. I thought, okay, that's good. Maybe that's, an illusion here. Maybe he just had a nice night, but he continued to do it. And even though he didn't always, wasn't always perfect, he continued to show a great deal of confidence. He's willing to make tight window throws and do things that we had not seen from Will Howard. And Adrian Martinez will be healthy for the Sugar Bowl, and Will Howard will start the game. There's no doubt. I mean, Chris Kleiman flat out said at his press conference on Monday that Will's now the guy. He's earned that. They'll try to find a way to get Adrian involved in the game plan and out on the field at some point, but this is Will Howard's game at the Sugar Bowl.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. Tim, thanks a lot. Happy holidays.
Thank you, boys. Great to talk to you.
All right. There you go, Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. We're going to talk A&M